The US dollar is considered the world's reserve currency, with the majority of international transactions being conducted in dollars. It's also the primary currency used to price commodities such as oil and gold. The US economy has long been the largest in the world, and its currency is the most widely traded and held. However, there is growing concern that the US dollar could collapse in 2023. In this video, we will explore the potential reasons behind a possible collapse, the consequences it could have, and the steps that can be taken to mitigate the risks. Why the US dollar could collapse in 2023. There are several factors that could lead to a collapse of the US dollar in 2023. Let's examine some of the most significant ones. Debt and inflation. The US has a massive national debt of over $28 trillion, and it continues to increase every year. This debt burden is unsustainable, and it's putting pressure on the value of the dollar. The government has been printing more money to keep the economy afloat, which has led to inflation. The value of the dollar has been declining over the years, and if the trend continues, it could lead to a collapse. Geopolitical tensions. The US has been involved in several conflicts over the years, including the war in Afghanistan and the ongoing tensions with North Korea and Iran. These conflicts have put a strain on the US economy, and they could eventually lead to a collapse of the dollar. In addition, the rise of China as a global superpower is also putting pressure on the US dollar's dominance. Digital currency revolution. The world is moving towards digital currencies, with many countries exploring the creation of their own digital currencies. This shift could reduce the demand for the US dollar, leading to a collapse. In addition, the rise of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin is also putting pressure on traditional currencies like the US dollar. Trade deficit. The US has a massive trade deficit, meaning it imports more than it exports. This deficit has been growing over the years, and it's putting pressure on the value of the dollar. In addition, the US has been imposing trade tariffs on other countries, which has led to retaliatory measures, further damaging the economy. COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the US economy, leading to job losses, business closures, and a decline in consumer spending. The government has been providing stimulus packages to keep the economy afloat, which has led to an increase in the national debt. If the pandemic continues to disrupt the economy, it could lead to a collapse of the dollar. Consequences of a US dollar collapse. A collapse of the US dollar would have significant consequences not just for the US but for the entire world. Let's examine some of the most significant ones. Economic crisis. A collapse of the US dollar would trigger an economic crisis, as the world's largest economy would be in turmoil. It would lead to a decline in the value of other currencies, causing inflation and economic instability. Global financial instability. The US dollar is the world's reserve currency, meaning it's used in international transactions and as a store of value. A collapse of the dollar would lead to a loss of confidence in the global financial system, leading to instability and uncertainty. Rise of alternative currencies. If the US dollar collapses, other currencies would rise to take its place as the world's reserve currency. This shift could lead to a realignment of global power dynamics, with countries like China and Russia becoming more influential. Political instability. A collapse of the US dollar would lead to political instability, as the government would struggle to maintain control over the economy. It could lead to civil unrest and protests, further destabilizing the country. Impact on international trade. A collapse of the US dollar would have a significant impact on international trade, as many countries rely on the dollar for their transactions. It would lead to a decline in global trade and could trigger protectionist policies by governments looking to protect their economies. Impact on developing countries. Developing countries that rely on the US dollar would be hit hardest by a collapse. It could lead to a decline in foreign investment, a rise in inflation, and a decline in the value of their currencies. Steps to mitigate the risks of a US dollar collapse. While a collapse of the US dollar would have significant consequences, there are steps that can be taken to mitigate the risks. Reduce national debt. The US government should focus on reducing the national debt, which is the primary driver of the dollar's decline. This can be achieved through a combination of spending cuts and increased revenue generation. Diversify reserves. Countries should diversify their reserves away from the US dollar and towards other currencies such as the euro, yen, and yuan. This would reduce the impact of a collapse of the US dollar on their economies. Promote alternative currencies. Governments should promote the use of alternative currencies such as digital currencies and cryptocurrencies. This would reduce reliance on traditional currencies like the US dollar and provide a more stable financial system. Promote trade. Governments should promote international trade and reduce protectionist policies that could harm the global economy. This would reduce the risk of a collapse of the US dollar, triggering a decline in global trade. Prepare for economic shock. Governments should prepare for the possibility of a collapse of the US dollar and the economic shock that would follow. This can be achieved by developing contingency plans, providing economic support to businesses and individuals, and investing in infrastructure. Conclusion. A collapse of the US dollar in 2023 is a possibility, given the factors that could contribute to its decline. It would have significant consequences for the US and the entire world, leading to an economic crisis, global financial instability, and political unrest. However, steps can be taken to mitigate the risks, such as reducing national debt, diversifying reserves, promoting alternative currencies, promoting trade, and preparing for economic shock. It's crucial for governments to work together to ensure a stable financial system that can withstand the potential collapse of the US dollar.